हेलो। हेलो। चेक। हेलो। हेलो। चेक। हेलो। हेलो।
Check, check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Check, check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. हो गया? Check, check, 1, 2, 3. हाँ भाई, एक मिनट आओ।
The former president has graciously agreed to release the latest outcome document of the Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar Fellowship, which had been established at the NMF in 2020 by Mr. Ashok Nayyar and Ms. Geeta Nayyar in memory of their late father. The fellowship promotes and supports intellectual and policy relevant research on subjects of maritime consequence to India and, in doing so, commemorates the life and achievements of this great colossus of Indian maritime thinking. This year, the fellowship project has culminated in a monograph that examines the potential for leveraging the geostrategic location of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in addressing India's holistic maritime security challenges, especially those emanating from China's growing maritime footprint in the Indian Ocean region. Entitled The Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Eastern Sentinel of India's Maritime Security, it has been authored by Captain Kamlesh Kumar Agnihotri, Indian Navy, who is a senior fellow at the NMF. I request the author, Captain K.K. Agnihotri, to join the dignitaries on stage. Sir, may I request you to honor us by formally releasing the monograph. Kindly keep your mobile phones switched off or on silent mode. We appreciate your patience and cooperation. all to keep your mobile phones switched off or on silent mode. Please rise to welcome Shri Nath Kovind, the Honourable former President of the Republic of India. He is escorted by the Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi, and Admiral Karambir Singh, former Chief of the Naval Staff and incumbent Chairman of the National Maritime Foundation, Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan, Director General, National Maritime Foundation, and Mr. Ashok Nayyar, the son of the late Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and join in the singing of the national anthem. I request you all to kindly settle down. Shri Nath Kovind, Honourable former President of India, Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi, Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral D.K. Joshi, former Chief of the Naval Staff and incumbent Lieutenant Governor of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Admiral Karambir Singh, former Chief of the Naval Staff and incumbent Chairman of the National Maritime Foundation, Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan, DG, National Maritime Foundation, Mr. Ashok Nayyar, Ms. Geeta Nayyar, members of the family and close friends of the late Admiral K.K. Nayyar, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar Memorial Lecture 2025. My name is Priyasha Dikshit and I will be your host for this lecture. In common with all other echelons of the National Maritime Foundation, I find myself simultaneously humbled and proud to see that quite so many of you have taken the time and trouble to be here with us to commemorate the NMF's 20th Foundation Day and honor the many contributions of the late Vice Admiral Keval Krishan Nayyar, Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal. Admiral Nayyar was a maritime strategist par excellence and the founding chairman of the National Maritime Foundation. As such, he and his family, represented today by his son, Mr. Ashok Nayyar, and his daughter, Ms. Geeta Nayyar, will always have a special place in our individual and collective hearts. And now, without any further ado, may I request the chairman of the National Maritime Foundation and former chief of the Naval Staff of the Republic of India, Admiral Karambir Singh, to offer his welcome remarks.
Shri Nath Kovind, former President of the Republic of India, Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral D.K. Joshi, Lieutenant Governor, Andaman Nicobar Islands and former Chief of Naval Staff, Shri Ashok Nayyar, Ms. Geeta Nayyar, and family members of late Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar, senior flag officers. I'm sorry, there's so many of you, too many to call out. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I stand before you this morning to deliver the welcome remarks for the Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar Memorial Lecture, an event that not only commemorates the towering figure of India's maritime legacy, but also serves as a platform to inspire and guide our collective maritime journey forward. Today we are extremely privileged to have with us Shri Nath Kovind, former President of the Republic of India, as our distinguished speaker. A statesman par excellence, Shri Kovind's tenure as President was marked by his unwavering commitment to the Constitution, his deep empathy for the underprivileged, and his visionary leadership in shaping India's socio-economic trajectory. His advocacy for inclusivity, education, and sustainable development has left an indelible mark on our nation. And I was fortunate enough to serve with him when he was Supreme Commander of our armed forces from 2017 to 2022. And he took an abiding interest in all matters pertaining to the services and kept himself updated on salient happenings in the security domain. He was always forthcoming and available to render sage advice and guidance to us, his chiefs. Sir, your leadership, sagacity, and commitment continue to inspire us all even today. Shri Kovindji's address today will focus on an issue of immense strategic importance, and that is increasing maritime consciousness in India. In a world where global geopolitics and economics are deeply intertwined with the maritime domain, fostering a robust maritime outlook is crucial for India's prosperity and security. And this also aligns seamlessly with the present government's vision of transforming India into a developed nation or Viksit Bharat by 2047. A vision that places significant emphasis on harnessing the potential of our maritime resources and capabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, as we delve into this morning's discourse, it's also essential to reflect on the legacy of Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar, a visionary naval leader. Admiral Nayyar's contributions to India's maritime strategy and thought extended far beyond his illustrious naval career. Admiral Nayyar was a statesman, strategist, who understood the profound implications of maritime power on national security and development. Admiral Nayyar's retirement in 1986 marked not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter of his service to the nation. As a member of the National Security Advisory Board and the Government Committee on Defence Expenditure, he played a pivotal role in shaping India's defence and maritime policies. And perhaps his most enduring legacy, however, still lies in the foundational contributions to the establishment of think tanks in India, including in 2005, the first and only one at that time with purely maritime orientation, the National Maritime Foundation, the NMF. The NMF, envisioned by Admiral Nayyar, was created to address India's historical neglect of the maritime domain. Under his leadership, the foundation emerged as a premier institution for maritime research, policy promotion, and capacity building. And today, the NMF is an institution of maritime scholarship, providing cogent policy recommendations and fostering maritime awareness amongst policymakers, policy shapers, industry leaders, and the public at large. In the context of Shri Kovindji's address, NMF's role becomes even more critical. By focusing on intersection of maritime strategy and national development, the NMF is actively contributing to the realization of the government's vision for India's growth. Whether through research on maritime trade routes, working for sustainable resource management, or policy advice on holistic maritime security in the Indo-Pacific, the NMF is actively contributing to securing India's place as a leading maritime power of the 21st century. And as we listen to Shri Kovindji today, let's take inspiration from his words and recommit ourselves to the ideals that Admiral Nayyar held dear. Ladies and gentlemen, the seas are not just a source of security and commerce, but also the pathway to India's future, prosperity, and global stature. I also take this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, the Chief of Naval Staff, for his steadfast support to the NMF and for his tireless advocacy of India's maritime interest. Thank you so much, Admiral. So in conclusion, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of every distinguished individual here in this hall. Your participation is a tribute not only to Admiral Nayyar's legacy, but also the cause of maritime excellence that he so ardently championed. With these thoughts, I warmly welcome all of you to this morning of reflection, learning, and inspiration. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am deeply honored to now request Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, PVSM, AVSM, NM, Chief of the Naval Staff, and Patron of the NMF, whose visionary leadership continues to guide our maritime endeavors towards new horizons, to deliver the inaugural address.
Shri Nath, Kovind, Honourable former President of India, Admiral D.K. Joshi, Honourable Lieutenant Governor of Andaman Nicobar and former CNS, Admiral Karamveer Singh, Chairman of the National Maritime Foundation and our former CNS, Vice Admiral Ashok Kumar, NMSC, Vice Admiral Suraj Beri, Commander-in-Chief of Strategic Forces Command, Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan, DG NMF, former Commanders-in-Chief, Mr. Ashok Nayyar, Ms. Geeta Nayyar, and close family and friends of late Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar, serving and retired general officers, flag officers, air officers, esteemed members of audience, school children and interns at NMF who are the future of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our former President, Shri Nath Kovind ji, to the Indian Navy and National Maritime Foundation. Sir, we are extremely honored by your esteemed presence this morning and eagerly look forward to your insights and wisdom during the Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar Memorial Lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Nayyar's illustrious naval career and his dedication to the national cause even after retirement, as enunciated by Admiral K.B. Singh, stand as a shining beacon of leadership and Desh Prem. He deeply believed in nurturing naval traditions to pave way for a stronger future, a legacy now embodied as the National Maritime Foundation. It is therefore a befitting tribute to this year's edition of the Memorial Lecture that it focuses on the need to develop maritime consciousness in the nation. At the core of this endeavor to enhance maritime consciousness lies the need for the nation and its citizens to be acutely aware of our maritime identity and the strategic significance of the seas. I will begin by dwelling upon the maritime domain itself. That is because there is an inherent cognitive dissonance when it comes to issues related to the seas, as these are different from the terra firma that we live on. This dissonance is surprising because of the humankind's phenomenal dependence on the seas and oceans, which is best explained by the simple 66, 70, 80, 1999 rule that postulates nearly 66% of the global wealth and resources come from or near the seas. 70% of the globe is covered with water, that is known worldwide. 80% of the population I'm talking of 8 billion and 80% of that, so 6.5 billion people live within 200 miles of the coast. 90% of the entire world's trade transits through the seas. And not surprisingly, 99% of the world's data flows through the undersea cables. For us in India, 95% of our trade by volume transits through the seas. With seas on 3 sides and high mountains to the north, the maritime orientation of our nation is intrinsic to its identity. After independence, our leaders took significant steps to build our maritime capabilities, and we are now at the cusp of transforming into a maritime power. There is a firm acknowledgement in the highest echelons of national leadership that our nation's growth would be driven at, from, and by the seas, symbolized by our Honourable Prime Minister's recent statement last month, and I quote, "Today's India is emerging as a major maritime power in the world," unquote. Blue economy endeavors such as Maritime India Vision 2030, Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047, Sagar Mala project, and focused thrust on maritime sector in this year's budget, especially, all point to a discernible nurturing of a maritime thought founded on India's vision of security and growth for all in the region. Recognizing that potent Navy is a prerequisite to being a strong maritime power, the Indian Navy today is a multi-dimensional force capable of addressing a wide range of threats and challenges across the entire spectrum of conflict. But we are also deeply cognizant of the fact that true maritime power requires more than just a strong navy. It is equally important for our nation and its populace to appreciate our rich maritime history, understand the critical role the sea plays in our security and development, and cultivate a genuine maritime character. As far as Navy is concerned, we are conscious of our limitations in reaching out to our citizens at the grassroots level. The Indian Navy's national presence by design is limited to a few naval bases and air stations across the country. Our operation in support of our national interests are conducted hundreds of miles from our shores, unseen by large percentage of our countrymen. It has therefore been the Navy's endeavor that if the people cannot come to the Navy, we will take the Navy to the people. Our public outreach, therefore, has several lines of effort. As you are aware, over the last 2 years, we have conducted our Navy Day operational demonstration on both West and East Coast at locations other than where our major naval stations are located. Here, we literally take the Navy to our people, showcasing snippets of the Navy's operational prowess right from the shoreline, witnessed by thousands of Indian citizens. In order to reach out to the students, we conducted a unique national level quiz over the last 2 years called Think Q. From the inaugural edition with 6,430 odd schools, the recently concluded 2024 edition engaged with nearly twice the number, 12,650 schools across the country. With a view to increase maritime conversations across regions and age groups, we collaborated with Amar Chitrakatha to publish a series of books in 9 regional languages depicting our maritime heritage. Inclusion of maritime history of India in school curriculum has been taken up with NCERT. Our officers and veterans are also featuring on NCERT webinar series, Listening to Learn. As I speak, 2 women naval officers, Lieutenant Commander Dilna and Lieutenant Commander Rupa, are circumnavigating the globe on board Indian Naval Sailing Board vessel Tarini. The duo crossed Point Nemo, remotest oceanic location on Earth, situated approximately 2,688 kilometers from the nearest landmass on 30th January 25. Another noteworthy initiative is the partnership with the Ministry of Culture for the Ancient Stitch Ship project, which aims to reinvigorate the rich history of Indian shipbuilding. The ship is expected to be ready this year and make its maiden voyage. The Indian Navy is also deeply involved in the ongoing National Maritime Heritage Complex at Lothal, Gujarat. At another level, we have also engaged the academic community and scholars in conversations about policies and strategy through the Indo-Pacific Regional Dialogue, IPRD, conducted annually by the Indian Navy and NMF. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to my mind, increased maritime consciousness and resulted evolution of maritime thought will catalyze our rise as a strong maritime power. In building this power, our government's push for Atmanirbharta in thought and in action has presented us with numerous opportunities. Our country is so vast and our demography so varied that the task would need a whole of nation effort, and the Indian Navy and NMF would leave no stone unturned in charting this course. In conclusion, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Nayyar family for joining us today. Admiral Nayyar's legacy is a guiding light for the Indian Navy, and I am confident that we will honor and build upon his enduring contributions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind, Sano Varuna.
Thank you, sir. We have arrived at a singularly poignant moment where we eulogize Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar through the eyes of his son, Mr. Ashok Nayyar. Sir, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Honourable former President Kovind, Admiral Tripathi, Admiral Karambir Singh, Admiral Joshi, and distinguished guests, thank you for holding and participating in the annual Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar Memorial Lecture. My sister Geeta and I are honoured by your presence. My father was a proud Indian, a proud Hindu, and a proud Indian Navy man. He would be amazed and delighted at the progress India has made since his passing in 2018. Leaders like former President Kovind and Prime Minister Modi have taken and put India among the top few nations in the world. Indeed, its rightful place. My father had a diverse set of interests that ranged from the obvious, the Indian Navy and the armed forces of India, to Indian history, to economics, to the development and empowerment of women. Some of these coincide with those of President Kovind, and my father would be proud to be in such good company. Admiral Nayyar read a lot about these areas. He spoke at many conferences, and most importantly, spent a lot of time discussing and advising practitioners like technocrats, politicians, bureaucrats, and journalists. He believed in dialogue, judgment, and research to be the basis for coming to conclusions and determining the path forward. In this regard, he was instrumental in founding a variety of think tanks, as has been mentioned before me. He founded the National Maritime Foundation, Forum for Strategic Studies, and the Policy Foundation. He also co-founded the Observer Research Foundation, ORF, and was instrumental at the Vivekananda International Foundation as its chairman for several years until his passing. All these organizations are focused on research on topics that concern us today but also on what India needs several decades from now. NMF is a perfect example of that. My sister and I miss our father and are proud of what he achieved and started. This annual memorial lecture is a fitting tribute to him and his ideals. Once again, I would like to thank all of you, and in particular former President Kovind, for gracing us with his presence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Honourable former President has graciously agreed to release the latest outcome document of the Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar Fellowship, which had been established at the National Maritime Foundation in 2020 by Mr. Ashok Nayyar and Ms. Geeta Nayyar in memory of their late father. The fellowship promotes and supports intellectual and policy-relevant research on subjects of maritime consequence to India, and in doing so, commemorates the life and achievements of this great giant of Indian maritime thinking. This year, the fellowship project has culminated in a monograph that examines the potential for leveraging the geostrategic location of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in addressing India's holistic security challenges, especially those emanating from China's growing maritime footprint in the Indian Ocean region. Entitled The Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Eastern Sentinel of India's Maritime Security, it has been authored by Captain Kamlesh Kumar Agnihotri, Indian Navy, who is a senior fellow at the NMF. I request the author, Captain K.K. Agnihotri, to join the dignitaries on stage. Sir, may I request you to honor us by formally releasing the monograph. Thank you for your presence and your encouraging words on this occasion, sir. May I now request the Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, to present a token of our gratitude and appreciation to our guest of honor, Shri Nath Kovind. Thank you, sir. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I know that all of us are on the edge of our seats in keen anticipation of the 2025 Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar Memorial Address, which Shri Nath Kovind, Honourable former President of the Republic of India, has graciously consented to deliver on the theme of enhancing maritime consciousness. It is with an abiding sense of honour that I request Shri Kovind to enlighten us.
Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Dinesh Tripathi ji, Admiral D.K. Joshi, presently serving as Lieutenant Governor, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and former CNS, Chairman of National Maritime Foundation and former Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Karambir Singh Ji, Director General of National Maritime Foundation, Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan Ji, son and daughter of Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar, Shri Ashok Nayyar, and Geeta Nayyar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to be among all of you, distinguished personalities, today. It is a privilege for me to address you at this lecture series instituted in the memory of Admiral K.K. Nayyar, one of India's most distinguished naval leaders. Admiral Nayyar provided 3.5 decades of distinguished service to our nation and had the rare distinction of commanding both the eastern as well as the western fleets of the Indian Navy. He was an excellent maritime strategist and a visionary who planted the seeds of naval research and strategic thinking across several institutions of India. I congratulate the National Maritime Foundation for instituting a memorial lecture series to honor his legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, India's maritime heritage is a testament to its long-standing relationship with the sea, encompassing trade, culture, and naval prowess. This rich legacy has significantly influenced our nation's history and its interactions with the wider world. The roots of India's maritime activities are about 5,000 years old and trace back to the Indus Valley civilization. Sites like Lothal, located about 400 kilometers southwest of Ahmedabad, have unveiled a sophisticated dockyard. Archaeologists consider it to be the world's first man-made dockyard and one of the world's earliest known dry docks. We can get a sense of the advanced nautical engineering of that era. The inhabitants of Harappan civilization engaged in active maritime trade with Mesopotamia as evidenced by various artifacts and records. Ladies and gentlemen, maritime themes are also prevalent in Vedic literature. The Rig Veda, one of our oldest known scriptures, mentions Varuna, the deity associated with the sea, and alludes to merchants undertaking sea voyages in pursuit of wealth. The epics Ramayana and Mahabharata also contain narratives involving ships and sea travel. These references indicate the significance of maritime activities in ancient Indian culture. During the reigns of Nanda and Maurya dynasties, maritime trade expanded significantly. The establishment of trade links with regions such as Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and West Asia facilitated not only the exchange of goods but also cultural and religious ideas. This period saw Indian merchants and missionaries traversing sea routes, leading to the spread of Buddhism and Hinduism across Asia. In the medieval era, the Chola dynasty emerged as a formidable maritime force. The Cholas undertook naval expeditions and extended their influence to Southeast Asia, including present-day Indonesia and Malaysia. Their maritime activities have left a lasting impact on the history, art, architecture, and administration of Southeast Asian countries. Ladies and gentlemen, our coastal heritage played such a defining role in our civilizational, social culture, and economic history. In this light, it is hard to believe that our medieval period was characterized by maritime neglect. This maritime neglect happened due to historical circumstances. During the medieval period, various land-based empires gained prevalence. Many of such rulers had origins in the landlocked regions and were more focused on managing vast land territories. Our collective consciousness started to overlook the sea as an avenue of power and prosperity. As a result, slowly but surely, our naval prowess began to fade. Ladies and gentlemen, for India, a historical maritime nation, this period of oceanic obliviousness was indeed an anomaly. Nonetheless, this neglect of the maritime domain exacted a huge toll. It was one of the reasons why such huge land empires fell so easily to the European trading companies. Ladies and gentlemen, even during this maritime dark age, our maritime heritage was not completely lost. Kanoji Angde is one such name who carried the flame of our maritime heritage. As Chief of Maratha Navy, Kanoji Angde skillfully commandeered the Maratha fleet and played a vital role in shaping the geopolitics of that time. At its zenith, the Maratha fleet exerted control over the Arabian Sea and protected the Konkan and Mumbai coasts from the formidable colonial powers, including the British, Dutch, and Portuguese. This control over the bustling ports of the western coastline and trade routes enriched the Maratha treasury. This maritime prosperity also enabled the Maratha Empire to exert influence over a much larger region and granted them power and autonomy in dealing with European colonial powers. Kanoji Angde's saga is a reminder of the far-reaching impact of maritime power on a civilization's socio-economic and geopolitical aspects. Ladies and gentlemen, European colonization led to a complete wash out of India's maritime identity. The colonizers used India's maritime prowess for their own benefit. They employed maritime infrastructure as a tool for resource extraction rather than development. Any attempts at industrialization and development of the local maritime industry were systematically stifled. Our maritime roots were forgotten, and an era which is often described as maritime blindness set in. Ladies and gentlemen, just a few decades back, our Navy started its journey with the construction of small patrol boats. Today, we are able to indigenously manufacture aircraft carriers and nuclear submarines. Within a span of a few decades, the Indian Navy has evolved from a coastal defense force to a blue water navy. This is a commendable achievement. Do you know how this transformation occurred? Ladies and gentlemen, Behind this transformation are the efforts of numerous Karma Yogis dedicated to reclaiming our maritime heritage. Admiral K.K. Nayyar was one such visionary naval leader. He clearly recognized the critical role of maritime strength in national security and economic prosperity. At a time when global geopolitics was rapidly evolving, he foresaw the necessity of a robust naval force to protect India's trade routes, ensure regional stability, and project power in the Indian Ocean. One of his most significant contributions was the advocacy for self-reliance in naval capability. During his tenure as Director Naval Plans and Assistant Chief of Naval Staff Policy and Plans, he focused on enhancing India's naval capabilities through indigenous technological advancements and shipbuilding exercise. He understood that true maritime strength could not be achieved solely through foreign acquisitions. Instead, India needed indigenous technological advancements, shipbuilding expertise, and a strong defense industrial base. I am happy to observe that over the past few years, India has made significant strides in indigening its naval and shipbuilding industry. The Indian Navy has transitioned from a buyer's navy to a builder's navy. With a substantial focus on indigenous design and construction, I am told that 63 out of 64 warships planned for induction are being built in Indian shipyards. The indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant stands as a testament to India's shipbuilding prowess. I was privileged to visit this aircraft carrier at Kochi in the year 2021. This project was a pan-India collaborative effort involving major industrial houses and over 100 micro, small and medium enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to know that the recently inducted nuclear submarine INS Arighat also features indigenous systems and equipment. I urge everyone present here to strongly pursue defense indigenization of your level, at your level. Not only will it ensure self-reliance in security, it will productively engage our engineering talent. It will generate lucrative job opportunities for our youth, and it has the potential to reverse the brain drain also. Technological innovations spurred by defense indigenization would also have several positive effects downstream. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Nayyar was also a strong proponent of strategic maritime partnerships. He recognized that India's security was deeply interconnected with regional and global maritime dynamics. He advocated forging partnerships for developing robust defense and trade networks. India launched the Sagar initiative in 2015 to overscore our nation's commitment to foster a secure and stable maritime environment in the Indian Ocean region. Being true to our ancient roots of bringing everyone together, the Sagar initiative emphasizes collaborative efforts to ensure both security and economic prosperity across the region. The Indian Navy has an instrumental role in the success of Sagar initiative through joint maritime exercises and anti-piracy operations through humanitarian assistance and disaster relief missions through capacity building and information sharing. Indian Navy has built a reputation of competence, reliability, and professionalism. We have won the trust of the littoral nations in the Indian Ocean region, and many now actively seek us out as a security provider in the region. This is a victory for our maritime diplomacy. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Nayyar's contributions to maritime thought extended to policy making and national security discourse. After his retirement, he continued to influence maritime policy by helping establish think tanks such as this National Maritime Foundation, Observer Research Foundation, and the Vivekanand International Foundation. As head of National Maritime Foundation, Admiral Nayyar worked to increase maritime awareness in India, emphasizing India's historical identity as a maritime nation and promoting the strategic importance of the seas for India's economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, today India is actively advancing its blue economy through a series of initiatives aimed at sustainable utilization of ocean resources for economic growth. There is emphasis on sectors such as fisheries, tourism, ocean energy, and deep sea mining. The Sagarmala project was initiated in 2016 to promote port-led development by creating world-class ports and integrating them with special economic zones, industrial clusters, and hinterland infrastructure. We have an exclusive economic zone of about 2 million square kilometers and an extended continental shelf that provides us enormous resource potential. Deep Ocean mission has been launched to explore our seas for resources like gas hydrates and polymetallic nodules and develop deep sea technologies for sustainable use of ocean resources. Just last year, INS Sandhyayak, first survey vessel large ship, was commissioned into the Indian Navy. It will enhance our hydrographic survey capabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, India's maritime sector is poised for significant growth. We have a coastline of more than 11,000 kilometers projecting into the heart of the Indian Ocean. Our geography provides us a commanding position in a major international sea route connecting the east and the west. Over 40% of global trade passes through the Indian Ocean. Herein lies an immense opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, generally people engage in high endeavors when they know their history. By knowing their past, they become driven by a conscious feeling of their destiny. Therefore, we have to make our fellow Indians aware about their glorious maritime history. This will instill in them a national pride, a yearning for achievement, and an impulse to reclaim their destiny. I am happy that the government is taking steps to honor India's maritime legacy, educate the public, stimulate tourism, and foster a deeper appreciation for the nation's seafaring traditions. In December last year, the first Indian Maritime Heritage Conclave was held. I am happy that a National Maritime Heritage Complex is being constructed at Lothal to preserve and promote our nautical traditions. Ladies and gentlemen, our journey from an ancient civilization to a modern republic underscores the integral role of the maritime domain in shaping our nation. As we navigate the currents of the 21st century, our deeply ingrained maritime legacy would steer our way to becoming a leading global maritime power. Seas are not just vast stretches of water, they are lifelines of trade, security, and national prosperity. We are not just a nation with maritime interests, indeed, we are a maritime nation. Ladies and gentlemen, with your permission, I would like to share some of my experiences with the Navy. Many of the faces present here are familiar to me, and I feel privileged to address you all. When I assumed the office of the President of India, I also became a part of naval fraternity. Over the years, I have had the opportunity to witness firsthand the exceptional dedication, professionalism, and valor of the Indian Navy. Let me share some cherished moments from my presidential journey. The first occasion was 8th December 2017 at Visakhapatnam. My first visit to an Indian Navy formation after assuming office as the President of India was to Visakhapatnam on 8 December 2017. On this significant occasion, I was especially pleased to present the President's color to the submarine arm of the Indian Navy. The event was a testament to the Navy's unyielding commitment to safeguarding our maritime frontiers and its steadfast pursuit of excellence. The second occasion was 20th November 2019 at Indian Naval Academy. It was my privilege to award the President's color to the Indian Naval Academy on 20th November 2019. As I observed the Academy's state-of-the-art infrastructure and the rigorous training regime in place, I became convinced that the Navy has made the right investments in grooming its future leaders. The Academy's contribution to preparing officers of high caliber who will serve the nation with distinction is truly commendable. The third occasion was 13th February 2020. It was at INS Shivaji. Another proud moment for me was presenting the President's color to INS Shivaji on 13th February 2020. This prestigious institution, originally commissioned in 1945 as HMIS Shivaji, has evolved into a premier technical training center. It has kept pace with the rapidly advancing field of maritime engineering, ensuring that the Indian Navy remains at the forefront of technological excellence. It was gratifying to learn that over 2 lakh officers and sailors, including personnel from friendly foreign countries, have been trained at this remarkable institution. The fourth occasion was at Indian Naval Aviation. On 6th September 2021, I had the honor of presenting the President's color to Indian Naval Aviation. This was yet another moment of immense pride as the Indian Navy continues to strengthen its capabilities in air power, ensuring the defense of our maritime interests and upholding our national security. The fifth occasion was the Presidential Fleet Review at Visakhapatnam. A moment that I can never forget was attending the Presidential Fleet Review at Visakhapatnam on 21st February 2022. It was a spectacular and marvelous experience to witness the readiness and operational prowess of the Indian Navy. The grand display of naval ships, submarines, aircraft, and other maritime elements showcased not only their professional competence but also their unwavering commitment to national security. The Fleet Review reaffirmed the Navy's preparedness to respond to any challenge and protect our maritime interests. The sixth occasion was 25th March 2022 at INS Valsura, Jamnagar. My association with the Indian Navy was further strengthened when I had the honor of presenting the President's color to INS Valsura at Jamnagar on 25th March 2022. This institution has played a vital role in shaping the India's electrical and electronic warfare capabilities, contributing significantly to technological advancements in our defense forces. Ladies and gentlemen, each of these occasions has left an indelible impression on me, reinforcing my admiration for the nation's Navy's dedication, discipline, and professionalism. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women of the Navy who serve our nation with unmatched valor and unwavering commitment. Their sacrifices and efforts ensure that our seas remain safe and our sovereignty secure. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I would like to appeal everybody present here. Let us continue to draw inspiration from Admiral K.K. Nayyar's wisdom, leadership, and unwavering commitment towards developing India's maritime strength. I urge you to imbibe his passion for maritime domain and tireless dedication to ensure that India remains a formidable maritime power ready to meet the challenges of the future. May Lord Varuna always be auspicious unto us. Sang no Varuna. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Those were indeed pearls of wisdom for all of us to treasure. To draw this momentous event to a close, may I request Vice Admiral Pradeep Chauhan, Director General of National Maritime Foundation, to articulate our individual and collective gratitude to each one of you.
Thank you very much. In my capacity as the Director General of the National Maritime Foundation, I stand here before you to offer a vote of thanks that I know is indeed emanating from our individual and our collective hearts. Let me begin by requesting you to allow me to extend our enormous gratitude to the Honourable former President, Shri Nath Kovind, who has honoured us by his presence in our midst and has enlightened us by his inspirational memorial address a few minutes ago. We are ever thankful for the patronage and the benediction of the Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral D.K. Tripathi, whose presence amongst us underscores the symbiotic relationship between the Indian Navy and the National Maritime Foundation. And in this annual commemoration of the magnificent life and times of the late Vice Admiral Keval Kishan Nayyar, we owe an enduring debt of gratitude to the Nayyar family and their friends, and most particularly to Mr. Ashok Nayyar and Ms. Geeta Nayyar, who remain worthy children of a worthy father and mother, and torchbearers of the Nayyar tradition of patriotism and excellence. The Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar Fellowship at the National Maritime Foundation stands testimony to their commitment to the creation and sustenance of maritime India. And in like manner, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the daughters of the late Admiral A.K. Chatterjee, who similarly embodied the desire for an India to emerge that is maritime in nature, maritime in essence, and therefore I would like to offer a note of gratitude to Mrs. Purobi and Mrs. Prabhati Mukherjee for their presence here today. Thank you very much. A special thanks to Admiral Devendra Kumar Joshi, former Chief of Naval Staff, former Chairman of the NMF, and incumbent Lieutenant Governor of the ANN Islands, who has carved out time from his incredibly busy schedule and has willingly undertaken a 2,500 kilometer journey to honor us by his presence here this morning. Thank you, sir. I am hard-pressed to express with sufficient fervor our continuing gratitude to Admiral Karambir Singh, former Chief of Naval Staff and incumbent Chairman, NMF, whose steady hand at the helm is the chief cause of the Foundation's success both in India and abroad, and spearheading the Indian national imperative of developing and sustaining coherence in our maritime endeavors, and yet able to find the time and the energy to be here. How can we not be hugely grateful to the National Maritime Security Coordinator, Vice Admiral G. Ashok Kumar, for his presence here today. We wish to place on record our special thanks to the CNC SFC, Vice Admiral Suraj Berry, whose presence affords us the requisite strategic gravitas, and our heartfelt gratitude goes out to the assembled general officers, flag officers, air officers, both serving and veteran. Sirs, you do us great honor. Please allow me to also acknowledge the debt we owe to our sister think tanks for the constancy of their support and encouragement, and I would like to particularly recognize the DDG of the USI of India, Major General P.K. Goswami, as well as the DG St. George, Major General Dr. Ashok Kumar, for their presence here, along with another sister organization from Pune, which is the Indian Maritime Foundation, represented here ably by Rear Admiral Ravi Nadkarni. To the honorable members of the Fourth Estate, especially those from the print and the electronic media, our thanks for buttressing our efforts and for providing us with the much needed reach across India as also beyond its shores. And I echo the sentiments of all echelons in giving thanks to the assembled principal staff officers of Naval Headquarters and their wonderful teams of directors, general directors and officers. A special shout out to the Directorate of Naval Training, the commanding officer of INS India and his indefatigable staff, and of course to the OIC of the Manekshaw Center and his own marvelous team. We are deeply grateful for the presence of so many distinguished members of the serving and veteran community of the Indian Armed Forces and representatives of the Government of India, especially those from the NSCS and the Ministry of External Affairs, whose support has never been found wanting. Providing us hope, ladies and gentlemen, for the future are the numerous students from Delhi University, other universities, and most particularly a special shout out to those gentlemen and ladies at the back from the Navy Children's School, New Delhi. I think that their presence here provides us, as I mentioned, hope. Last but not the least, let me say thank you to Team NMF for the enormity of your efforts that have allowed us to pay our respects once more in befitting manner to our founder, Chairman, Vice Admiral K.K. Nayyar, that colossus whose ideals continue to inspire us all. Ladies and gentlemen, none of all this would have been possible had it not been for your own deep dedication and commitment to the cause of maritime India, to be part of this audience listening to this absolutely scintillating memorial address. So please accept, on behalf of everyone here, my thanks and my gratitude to each and every one of you. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Shano Varun.
Thank you, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I request everybody to please rise for the national anthem. And with that, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will now adjourn for a well-deserved lunch arranged in the upper and lower exhibition hall. I request the NMF's ushering team to guide our guests to the lunch venue. I request everybody, I apologize, I request everybody to remain seated for 5 minutes till the President sort of departs the venue.